Here is me working the problem on page 6 of your notes. This one is going to look very much like your homework problems. On Delta Math, this is just given a differential equation that looks like this, x plus 5 over y, dy dx x plus 5 over y. Just find the particular solution, f of x, where f of -6 is -4. Before we do the separation of variables and everything, I just want to let you guys know, it's often given this way, and you're like, well, there's f's and there's y's, and what the hell's going on? It's because they say y equals f of x. So this is that same thing that we saw before. I called it y. The way I did it in the previous examples, I said y of -6 is -4. This is the way it's almost always written on the AP test. But either way, this is the point that you're given in this problem. When x is -6, y is -4. That's what they're saying. So don't read too much into that. Just recognize that this is telling you the initial condition. X is -6, y is -4. Which you're going to use at the end. So this is already given to us in our dy dx form. And so we just got to separate variables. What's going to happen when you have a fraction like this, there's a couple ways to do it, but the way that's probably going to be the most familiar to you is to think about cross multiplying, which I can do when I have one fraction set equal to another fraction. I can say dy times y equals dx times x plus 5. So I'm going to write that in a different order because it looks better to me if I write it like this. Think about it like this. So I multiplied y and dy right here. I multiplied x plus 5 and dx right here. And I get this little equation. I now have all the y's and dy's on the left, all the x's and dx's on the right. And so now I can integrate. The integral of y dy is y squared over 2. The integral of x plus 5, this is x squared over 2 plus 5x plus c. So this is honestly, you've done most of the hard work here. Separate, integrate. Now we're just going to use our initial condition, -6, -4, to find out what c is. It's a little more work than it was in the previous problems, but it's not, the process is not any different. I plug a -4 in everywhere I see a y. That's a 4. And I plug a -6 in everywhere I see an x. Now I solve for c. It's the only variable left in my equation. -4 squared is 16. 16 divided by 2 is 8. -6 squared is 36. Divided by 2 is 18. Yeah, 18. 5 times -6 is -30 plus c. This is -12. I add 12 to both sides, which means c is 20. What I didn't do here yet was find I guess I did this a little differently this time. In this one, it's probably going to be harder to solve for c if you when this is squared, it's going to be harder to solve for c if you do it before you solve for y. Sorry, if you do it after you solve for y. So I didn't ever really find the general solution of this thing yet, but I found c right away. So now I can use this to say y squared over 2 equals x squared over 2 plus 5x plus 20. And now since the problem said find a particular solution of y equals f of x, I got to solve for y. My answer is going to be y equals some function of x. So I multiply everything by 2. Y squared equals x squared plus 10x plus 40. And then I get y equals square root of x squared plus 10x plus 40. In this problem, I like the end of it because there's a little There's like a little twist at the end, which is, you know that when you take square roots in equations, like I did here, I took the square root of both sides of this thing. Like this is really plus or minus this whole square root. Like if I had like y squared was 16, then y is plus or minus 4. So like what happened to the plus or minus here? Well, the answer is it like disappeared. But it shouldn't disappear. And the way to tell if I want the positive or negative version of this is to look back at my initial condition. Remember, when y is negative 6, this needs to be negative 4. And so like the only way that this square root is going to be negative is if I put a negative on the outside of it. Basically what I'm saying is if I put a negative 6 in here for x, I get 36 minus 60 plus 40, which is 16. And so what I end up here when I plug in a negative 6 is the square root of 16, and that is equal to 4. So to make sure that I get the right answer for y, which is negative 4, I got to put a negative in front of this. So the basic rule here is at the end, you got to check and make sure that since y is negative, I need my answer to be negative at the end. So you'll see these more as you do the homework, and I'm, of course, always happy to answer questions.